All right. After trying some Barrell samples, Logan went and bought some Barrell.
I did.
So, these are the two relatively standard offerings. I mean, these are the ones that I found in Delaware when I was home. This is the first one, which is the Dovetail, which he said is a bourbon finished in rum, Cabernet and port cask. So, do you know anything else about this? Because I don't. I don't know much about Barrell.
It's barrel proof. It's all like, I don't know who all they blended together whiskeys from. I think this is a blend of Kentucky, Indiana, and Tennessee. So
it's probably Beam, Dickel, and MGP.
Yeah. Well, it may not be Beam. It could be Heaven Hill. It could be Barton. There's so much it could be.
But it's most likely at least Dickel, MGP, and a mystery third.
Kentucky, yeah.
Yeah.
That's typically what they do with all of theirs. There's some where like they leave out Dickel or they leave out MGP, but I don't.
Indiana and Tennessee only.
Oh, so this one is no Kentucky.
This is Dickel and MGP.
Okay.
100%.
So this will be interesting.
So, let's see.
Very fruity nose.
Mm-hmm. This does have the most present nose of any of them so far.
So far, yeah.
Well, it's not hard whenever you go from less than 100 proof to
barrel proof.
Barrel proof.
Non-weeded at that.
It is very fruity, and it's kind of a lighter fruit, which I didn't expect given Cabernet finish.
Cherries, dried fruits, a lot of vanilla. I get a lot of vanilla cream on this. What else am I getting?
A little bit of caramel, but not much.
I'd say like a cherry pie crust almost.
I can see that.
Like a lightly cinnamon, like cherry pie crust. Maybe a little bit of Annie Ann pretzel. Because I'm getting like some cinnamon pastry on it too.
I can see that.
But I don't know what kind I'm getting. I like the nose. It's a little faint for barrel proof, but
right.
I'm sure that's going to translate into the taste very well.
Whoa,
oh my.
There's a lot more flavor there.
Oh my.
I get a green note that I wasn't expecting.
I'm not really getting any green. I'm getting like...
It's kind of going, it's going away now, but I definitely had one at first.
That might be the rum. That might be the rum.
That could be it.
It might be the burnt sugar rum note translating
I think so.
as green. Because this is...
almost like a molassesy sugar.
Yeah. This is really desserty. Like,
it is.
It has like it has like oak tannin to it to balance it, but...
It's almost like the Cabernet finish only really comes out at all in the nose. I don't really get much of the... Maybe a little bit of a chocolatey.
That's what I was about to say. It's a little bit of chocolate, but...
It seems like most of it's coming from the rum cask on the palate.
Rum cask, the whiskey. And I get a bunch of fruit at the end, like a creamy fruit note, like strawberries and cream, kind of.
I can see it.
But that's about it. Like
it's almost like a strawberry cream cheese.
A little bit, yeah. And I'm really liking this. Like
I do like this.
It's the finishes don't really overpower anything. Like they're not like crazy in your face like a lot of them.
Do you know how long it's finished in these casks, or is it all undisclosed?
It's all undisclosed because I think that they blend, like, it's not like they took it from a rum barrel, put it in a port barrel, put it in a thing.
It's like some rum barrel and some cab barrel.
Yes.
Some port barrel.
That's why they intermingle so well. It's because, like, it's not one was more prevalent than another.
I think that the port finish one has the least influence. That could be where a little bit of the lighter fruitiness is coming in the nose, but...
I think that's where the strawberry cream is coming from.
I can see that.
I think that's where the strawberry cream is coming from, because, like, it's adding that sweetness to it that makes me think it's port.
Because I was going to say, I actually like this where it doesn't taste necessarily port influenced. It just tastes like it has some sweeter fruity notes.
Mm-hmm. Like, this is, like, the best rendition of something that's finished in port, aside from, like, Angel's Envy higher proof.
Right.
High proof Angel's Envy.
Or you know, that Old Scout Rye.
Yeah.
Port barrel finish.
Yeah.
That's so far, that's still it's going to be a while till that's not the only one that I like.
That was probably the best port finish I've ever had.
Right. Agreed. Because I was going to say, I can't include this just because there's so much more going on than port.
But I also think that that's because of the distillate it interacted with. That was a rye. This is the first like bourbon.
This is the first bourbon where I've had it where it works and I like it.
Yes.
So I just looked up online to see how they did this. So this is 10-year whiskey from Indiana with no type specified. That was aged in the cab barrels.
It's probably 10-year, honestly, probably stuff that would turn into like an Old Scout.
Probably.
And then some 11-year Tennessee bourbon, Dickel.
It's Dickel. It's 11-year Dickel, yeah.
And that was finished in the rum
It's stuff that was supposed to be bottled and bond. It didn't make or didn't meet some qualification or something.
That was finished in the rum casks, and then a 50-50 mix was finished in the port.
Okay.
And then it was all blended together at the end.
Yep, that sounds.
That actually that makes a lot of sense.
Because there's no notes that overpower the.
I was gonna say, and that's why you don't get a ton of like the, because Dickel whiskeys kind of have that little bit of a funk to it.
The vitamin.
Right.
Notes, yeah.
It doesn't have any of that, but that's because they took. I mean, all the Dickel that's in this is finished in something else.
Yep.
And the fact that they finished part of it in port, I mean, port overpowers at least American whiskey that isn't a rye relatively easily. And we've seen with Angel's Envy Rye what rum casking does.
Yes.
So you take an 11-year, which is already going to be a little bit oakier and a little bit less reminiscent of regular Dickel bourbon products, and you finish it in a rum cask, and that's practically all you're going to get.
Right.
I would bet that a lot of the actual whiskey notes we're getting is coming from the MGP aspect of it. The MGP finished in cab.
I think that a lot of the sweetness is coming from the Dickel as well. Like
a lot of the sweetness, but like the actual like bourbon notes that we're getting.
Yeah.
I think
even though it's not tend to be a bourbon, it's like
it's coming from MGP.
This has the same oaky tannins that was in the old elk we tried earlier.
Mm-hmm.
Like that's the oaky notes are definitely coming from the MGP. Because Dickel usually does.
The sweeter stuff is partially the finishes and partially the fact that
Dickel is very sweet distillate.
Right. And then you finish a sweet distillate in a rum cask,
yeah.
and you're just adding sweet to sweet.
But yeah, somebody said that this is a great dessert whiskey, and I totally see why.
I agree.
I can definitely see why.
I thoroughly enjoy this. I think this is my favorite so far to date.
Where do you put it on the scale?
I'd put this at like a 7.5.
Yep. That's about where I put it too.
Aww.
It's dollar per dollar. It's not my favorite, but this is if we're excluding how much any of these would cost and how easy it is to get any of these, this is my favorite.
So let me ask you this.
Yes.
How do you feel about this versus the Roadstock Rye? This? That was what I was gonna ask.
I do like the Roadstock Rye a lot, but I like it for different reasons.
Right.
Because it is very jammy and creamy, where this has a lot more of that fruity sweetness, like a lighter fruit, and it has that sort of strawberry cream cheese kind of note to it.
Yeah, Roadstock is way more unique though. Like Roadstock,
right. It also is a lot lower proof, so while there's a lot of flavor, this has the warmth behind it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Whereas the Roadstock Rye hit at its proof, but it hit way above the proof for flavor.
Right.
Whereas this, I think, hits right about on par for both.
Mm-hmm.
There's a good warmth the whole way throughout, where you can tell it's a higher proof, if not a cask strength, and it has the flavor of a 120 proofer. So it definitely makes sense.
The reason I bring that up is because this bottle was the reason I didn't get the Roadstock.
I mean, between the two, I would take this any day.
Yeah.
That Roadstock was cool, and it's very different, and I'm in completely different moods for different whiskeys, but this is one I go to more.
Yeah.
They're very different. I'm not upset that I have the Roadstock, but it's not something I go to often.
Right.
Yeah, and it's not something I'm going to replace. I thought the bottle was really cool. I thought the concept was cool, and it did impart really unique stuff on the whiskey.
Absolutely.
You think, though, they are... I think that might be more similar to the Seagrass in terms of concept, where it's a rye with a whole bunch of different finishes. That one has the agitation of being on a truck.
Yeah.
The Barrell doesn't, obviously, but those might be a little more closely related than this.
Yeah. That being said, though, I do hope they do the Roadstock again, but they release it at 100 proof.
Agreed.
Because it needed a little bit more body to it for me to enjoy it.
Would you try the Whistle Pig Beyond Bonded? They have a 100 proof rye and 100 proof bourbon.
Aren't those like $100?
I'm not saying would you buy one. I'm saying would you, if you saw it at a bar, would you? Are those ones you would?
Oh, of course. Whistle Pig is solid stuff. Their bottles are just overpriced. Which
I can agree to that. The only exception I think is the piggyback. That is a very solid 6-year rye.
It's solid.
At $50, I mean, a lot of good 6-year ryes are already in the 40 to 50 range.
Yeah, because
look at Russell's.
Yeah, it competes with Russell's, and Russell's is probably the best rye at that age and price range, realistically. The only other competition
readily available.
Yeah.
Because I mean, we got a whole bunch of weird ones
Yeah.
that definitely are about 6-year that I think are just as good,
Right.
but those aren't normal releases.
Right.
But no, this Dovetail, yeah, this is how much? 80?
I think it was 90.
90? If I find it in Delaware, I think it's about 80 something.
Okay.
It's about right. No, this is.
Yeah, because that one was $10 more than the Seagrass. The Seagrass
that
was
might be right.
80.
I want to say when I was in Delaware, one was 75, one was 85.
Yeah.
So. But solid buy at that price, I think.
For sure.
No, I mean, if we got it in PA, it's one of those ones where eventually I'd end up buying one. When I go to Delaware, there's just so much other shit that there's no way I end up snagging one of these because I'm going to snag a maker's pick or a local pick to there. But if this were available in PA, I guarantee you it would make its way on my shelf eventually.
Yeah.
It probably still would, but...
This is one I would replace, but it would take the only reason I would say I'd replace it is because I wouldn't grab it so frequently that it would go quickly.
Right. It's like with Booker's. Like, oh yeah, you always grab another Booker's, but you also know that your bottle of Booker's is going to last you a while.
Well, I drink Booker's faster than a lot of other people.
But still,
you're talking to the person.
You also said this yourself, so I know you don't drink it that often.
Yeah.
But you're talking to the person who buys every single batch of Booker's in multiples.
No, most of them I've only bought one of so far. Granny's and Tagline are the only ones I bought multiples of.
I'm proud of you.
Yeah.
We're straight.
I'm sorry, one is straight up peanut brittle and the other one is cinnamon roll.
Yeah.
No, I'm sorry.
I don't.
Anyway, Barrell Dovetail.